The first thing you hear is the engine, not the deep, heavy roar of a German Panther, not the slow, grinding thunder of a 45-ton steel beast. This sound is different, higher pitched, faster, almost reckless. It is the sharp mechanical scream of an American M18 Hellcat, racing across the French countryside so fast that dust and loose gravel spray behind it like smoke. Inside the open-top turret, the crew feels the wind tearing at their faces.
If you want more content like this, subscribe now and comment below.
The speedometer is climbing past 50 miles per hour, then 60, faster than any armored fighting vehicle on the battlefield, faster than many trucks, faster than the enemy believes a tank destroyer should move, and that speed gives them confidence, too much confidence. Ahead, the road bends between a line of trees and a low stone farmhouse near the village of Arracourt, France. It is September 21st, 1944. The morning fog is beginning to lift. Visibility is improving by the minute. For several days, American forces have been fighting in this region of northeastern France. The German 5th Panzer Army has launched a major counterattack. Their goal is simple: smash the U.S. advance and retake the ground they have lost. But in the fields around Arracourt, something unexpected is happening. Light, thin-skinned American tank destroyers are hunting some of Germany's most feared tanks. And on this particular morning, one Hellcat has pushed too far ahead. It has outrun its support. It has crossed beyond the safety of friendly guns, and somewhere just beyond the next hedgerow, a Panther Ausf is waiting. The Hellcat crew does not know it yet, but in the next few minutes they will learn the brutal truth of armored warfare. And speed can save your life, but speed can also carry you straight into an ambush. You can almost feel the tension inside the turret. The commander, Lieutenant Robert Jensen, grips the edge of the turret with one gloved hand and scans the road through his binoculars. He is 24 years old, from Iowa, and has already seen enough combat to know that overconfidence gets men killed. Yet the rapid pace of the battle has created a dangerous temptation. The M18 Hellcat is designed for one purpose: strike fast and disappear. Built by Buick and officially designated the 76mm gun motor carriage M18, it is the fastest, fully tracked armored vehicle of the war. Powered by a 9-cylinder Continental radial engine producing 400 horsepower, it can reach nearly 55 miles per hour under combat conditions and even higher on a good road. Its armor is paper-thin by battlefield standards. The front hull is barely thick enough to stop rifle-caliber fire and shell fragments. Against a Panther's high-velocity 75mm gun, it offers almost no protection. The Hellcat survives through speed, concealment, and first-shot accuracy. Jensen knows this. So does his gunner, Sergeant William Carter, a calm Texan with a sharp eye and steady hands. The loader, Corporal Frank Miller, is 20 years old and still looks like a high school student. Driver, Private James O'Connor, keeps the vehicle moving with instinctive skill. Assistant driver and radio operator, Private Luis Hernandez, listens closely to the crackling headset. Together, they form a small team, sealed not by armor but by trust. Over the past 2 days, they have helped knock out several German tanks in the fog around Arracourt. And the Americans have learned to use terrain and surprise to offset the superior armor of German Panthers. Again and again, the Hellcats have appeared from hidden positions, fired their 76mm guns, and vanished before the Germans could react. The tactic works, but only when units stay coordinated. At approximately 8:10 a.m., Jensen receives a fragmented radio transmission. German armor has been reported withdrawing east of the village. The message is incomplete, distorted by static, But Jensen believes he sees an opportunity. If the enemy is pulling back, a quick advance might catch them in the open. He orders O'Connor to accelerate. The Hellcat surges forward. Its tracks rattle violently over the road. Wind rushes into the open turret. Fence posts blur past. The supporting Sherman tanks and other Hellcats begin to fall behind. But within minutes, Jensen's vehicle is effectively alone. At first, nothing seems wrong. The fields are quiet. A few damaged vehicles burn in the distance. Smoke hangs low over the ground. The crew sees abandoned equipment and churned mud where tanks have passed. Everything suggests the Germans are retreating. But several hundred meters ahead, concealed behind a hedgerow near a slight rise in the terrain, a German Panther Ausf sits motionless. Its commander has already seen the approaching Hellcat. Inside the Panther, Oberleutnant Karl-Heinz Becker narrows his eyes. Becker is a veteran officer of the 11th Panzer Division. 31 years old, he fought in the Soviet Union and has survived battles from Kursk to Normandy. He understands both the strengths and weaknesses of his machine. The Panther Ausf EA is one of the most formidable tanks on the battlefield. Weighing roughly 45 tons, it combines thick sloped frontal armor with the devastating 7.5 cm KWK-42L/70 gun. At normal combat ranges, this weapon can penetrate nearly any American armored vehicle with ease. Its frontal glacis, sloped at 55 degrees, is extremely difficult to defeat. Its optics are excellent. Its gun is accurate at long range. But the Panther has limitations. Its side armor is much thinner than the front. Its mechanical systems remain complex and demanding, and in close terrain, visibility can be restricted. Becker knows he must make every shot count. When he first spots the American vehicle through his binoculars, he almost smiles. It is moving quickly, but alone. No supporting armor, no infantry, no smokescreen. A single M18 Hellcat racing into danger. Becker quietly issues orders to his crew. Driver, hold position. Gunner, target front. Range, 600 meters. Wait. Inside the Panther turret, the gunner aligns the sight. The long barrel remains still. The tank itself is hidden by brush and the contour of the land. From the road, the Panther is nearly invisible. The American crew continues forward. Lieutenant Jensen senses something. The silence feels unnatural. No enemy movement, no artillery, no radio contact from friendly vehicles behind them. You can almost feel that uneasy instinct creeping in, the same feeling countless soldiers describe just before an ambush. Jensen raises his binoculars and scans the hedgerow. For a brief second, he sees what looks like a dark shape. Then sunlight glints off steel. His stomach tightens. He opens his mouth to shout. Tank front! But the Panther fires first. At approximately 8:17 a.m., the KWK-42 erupts. The muzzle blast kicks dust and leaves into the air. The armor-piercing round crosses the distance in less than a second. It slams into the Hellcat's front hull. The effect is immediate and violent. Thin armor offers almost no resistance. The shell punches through steel, ricochets inside the fighting compartment, and sprays fragments across the open turret. The impact throws O'Connor against his controls. Hernandez is hit by flying metal. Smoke and sparks fill the vehicle. For a split second, the Hellcat keeps moving. Then it lurches sharply to one side. Jensen is stunned but alive. His ears ring. He tastes metal and cordite. The engine is still running, but the steering is compromised. He knows one terrible fact. If the Panther fires again, they are finished. Reverse! Reverse! O'Connor, wounded but conscious, jams the transmission into reverse. The Hellcat begins backing away at speed. kicking up dirt as Carter swings the turret toward the hidden enemy. Target! Hedgerow! 600! Carter searches desperately. The Panther is difficult to see. Then he spots the muzzle flash through drifting smoke. I've got him! Jensen does not hesitate. Fire! The Hellcat's 76mm gun recoils sharply. The armor-piercing round streaks toward the German tank, but it strikes the Panther's upper glasses and ricochets away. The shell leaves only a bright scar. Inside the Panther, Becker remains calm. The American shot confirms what he already knows. The Hellcat cannot reliably penetrate his frontal armor at this angle and range. The load armor-piercing. The German loader slams another round into the breech. The gunner recenters the sight. The Panther fires a second time. This round narrowly misses, tearing through the hedgerow and showering the Hellcat with dirt and branches. The near miss is enough. Jensen realizes they cannot win this duel head-on. The Panther's front armor is too strong. Their own protection is almost non-existent. There is only one chance. Use speed. Full reverse, hard left. The M18 responds instantly. Despite the damage, the powerful engine roars as the vehicle backs behind a small rise and disappears from the Panther's direct line of fire. For a moment, Becker loses visual contact. That concerns him. A Hellcat is most dangerous when moving. He orders his driver forward. The Panther emerges cautiously from concealment. In its heavy tracks crush brush and small saplings as it advances to regain sight of the American vehicle. This decision, logical and aggressive, exposes the Panther's greatest weakness, its side armor. Behind the rise, Jensen and his crew are fighting for survival. Hernandez is badly wounded, but conscious. O'Connor grips the controls with blood on his sleeve. Carter wipes sweat and dust from his eyes. The engine sputters, but continues to run. Jensen studies the terrain. The Panther is advancing. If they can swing around the rise and catch it broadside, they may still have a chance. Move! The Hellcat surges forward. Its acceleration is astonishing. Within seconds, it darts across rough ground, cutting toward the German tank's flank. Inside the Panther, Becker sees movement too late. The American vehicle appears on his right side, faster than expected. Traverse right, but the Panther's hydraulic turret traverse, while effective, cannot match the sudden speed of the attack. Carter has already settled the crosshairs on the side of the turret. Range 200 meters. At this distance, the 76mm gun has a real chance. Fire! The Hellcat recoils. The armor-piercing round slams into the Panther's side turret armor. Steel fragments explode inside the fighting compartment. The German gunner collapses instantly. Smoke fills the turret, but the tank is not yet destroyed. Load! Miller rams another round into the breech. Carter fires again. This time the shell strikes near the hull side above the tracks. The penetration ignites fuel vapors and ammunition. Flames burst from the Panther's turret hatches. Inside, Becker knows the battle is over. He orders his surviving crew to abandon the tank. Two men scramble from the hatches as thick black smoke pours upward. Seconds later, fire intensifies. The Panther is out of action. The Hellcat halts nearby. Its crew stares at the burning German tank in disbelief. They are alive, barely. The duel has lasted only a few minutes. Yet those few minutes contain the entire logic of armored warfare. Protection, firepower, mobility, and the constant contest between them. Jensen climbs down to check his wounded crew. Hernandez needs immediate medical attention. O'Connor is bleeding, but still conscious. Carter lights a cigarette with shaking hands. Miller sits silently, staring at the burning wreck. You can almost imagine what they are thinking. 1 second slower, 1 second less accurate. one wrong decision, and all 5 men would have died on that road. As medics and supporting vehicles arrive, word spreads quickly through the American unit. A lone Hellcat, cut off by a Panther, survived and destroyed its attacker. The story becomes one more example of the fierce fighting around Arracourt. To understand why this encounter mattered, you have to look at the larger battle. In September 1944, after the breakout from Normandy, Allied forces were advancing rapidly across France. German commanders hoped to stabilize the front by launching armored counterattacks. Near Arracourt, elements of the U.S. 4th Armored Division under Major General John S. Wood faced repeated assaults from German Panzer formations, including units equipped with Panthers. Here, the Americans did not possess large numbers of heavily armored tanks equal to the Panther in frontal combat. Instead, they relied on combined arms, superior command flexibility, artillery support, and aggressive use of terrain. The 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion and other units armed with M18 Hellcats played a critical role. The M18 speed allowed crews to reposition rapidly, exploit gaps, and strike vulnerable flanks. The Panther, for all its impressive specifications, was not invincible. Its frontal armor was formidable, but its side armor remained vulnerable to American 76mm guns at moderate ranges. Its large size made concealment difficult, and in the confusion of battle, highly trained crews could still be surprised. At Arracourt, weather often favored the Americans. Morning fog limited long-range gunnery, reducing the Panther's greatest advantage. American commanders used radio coordination and local initiative to react quickly. The result was one of the most successful defensive armored battles fought by U.S. forces in Europe. Over several days, German units suffered heavy losses in tanks and armored vehicles. The battle demonstrated that technology alone did not determine victory. Crew training, leadership, communication, and tactical judgment mattered just as much. The duel between Jensen's Hellcat and Becker's Panther reflects this truth perfectly. On paper, the Panther held nearly every advantage: better armor, more powerful frontal protection, a gun capable of destroying the Hellcat with a single hit, and in fact, it did hit first. Under most circumstances, that should have ended the fight. But war is not decided on paper, or it is decided by human beings making decisions under intense pressure. Jensen recognized the danger, even if a fraction too late. O'Connor kept the damaged vehicle moving. Carter found and engaged the target with remarkable speed. Miller loaded under fire without hesitation. Their teamwork transformed a near disaster into a victory. Becker, for his part, was no incompetent opponent. He selected an excellent ambush position. He fired first and scored a damaging hit. He used the Panther exactly as it was intended. But to finish the kill, he had to move forward. That brief exposure gave the faster American vehicle the opening it needed. This is the cruel balance of armored combat. Even a superior machine can be destroyed when one tactical decision shifts the angle of battle. And the M18 Hellcat remains one of the most fascinating armored vehicles of World War II. Unlike conventional tanks, it was designed around a specific doctrine. Tank destroyers were expected to rush to threatened sectors, ambush enemy armor, and relocate before return fire. Its open turret provided excellent visibility, but left the crew exposed to shell fragments, small arms fire, and weather. Its light armor was a known compromise, but its extraordinary speed made it uniquely dangerous in skilled hands. Many crews loved the Hellcat for exactly that reason. It felt alive, responsive, fast enough to turn terrain into a weapon. The Panther Ausf, meanwhile, represented one of Germany's most advanced wartime designs. Introduced after the early Panther variants, it corrected several initial problems and added improvements such as a commander's cupola and better reliability. Its gun and frontal armor inspired fear among Allied tank crews. Yet it remained mechanically complex and resource-intensive, arriving at a time when Germany could no longer afford prolonged attrition. By late 1944, even outstanding vehicles could not compensate for shortages of fuel, experienced crews, and air support. When historians examine armored warfare, they often focus on technical comparisons: armor thickness, gun penetration, engine horsepower. These numbers matter, but the encounter near Arracourt reveals something more important. Battle is fluid. Vehicles do not fight alone. Crews are tired, wounded, and often uncertain. Visibility changes by the minute. A radio transmission may be incomplete, or a commander may misjudge the enemy's position. A single hill can hide either death or opportunity, and in those moments, the human element becomes decisive. Years later, veterans from both sides described armored combat in remarkably similar terms, not as a chess match, but as a series of violent, confusing seconds. Training narrowed the choices. Experience sharpened instincts. But survival often depended on whether a crew could remain calm long enough to act. You can almost picture that road near Arracourt after the battle. The damaged Hellcat stands with a hole in its front armor. Nearby, the Panther burns, sending black smoke into the French sky. Spent shell casings lie on the turret floor. Medics carry away the wounded. Mechanics inspect the damage. And the surviving crew members sit quietly, absorbing what has happened. There is no celebration, only relief, and perhaps the private realization that they came closer to death than they will ever fully describe. Before noon, the Hellcat is towed for repairs if possible. Replacement parts will be scavenged, armor plates inspected, and the vehicle returned to service if the damage is not catastrophic. The crew, if medically cleared, may be assigned another tank destroyer and sent back into action. The war does not pause. There will be more roads, more fog, more hidden Panthers. For the German survivors, the experience is equally sobering. Their powerful Panther, a machine that should have dominated the fight, lies destroyed because an enemy crew refused to panic and exploited a fleeting opportunity. That is the paradox of mechanized warfare. Massive machines of steel and fire ultimately depend on the decisions of a handful of men inside. The Battle of Arracourt continued for days, but stories like this explain why the American defense held. The U.S. crews were not invulnerable. They often faced technically superior opponents. Yet they adapted faster, communicated better, and repeatedly turned local disadvantages into tactical victories. The Hellcat that raced too far ahead nearly paid the ultimate price for overextending. Its commander took a risk. The Panther cut it off exactly as any skilled German tanker would. The first shot struck home. For one terrifying moment, the outcome seemed certain. But certainty in war is an illusion. A damaged engine still ran, a driver still obeyed, a gunner still found his target, and a vehicle built around speed did exactly what it was designed to do. It moved faster than death. That is why the M18 Hellcat earned such respect among the men who fought in it. Not because it was heavily armored, not because it was easy to survive inside, but because, in the hands of a disciplined crew, it could turn one narrow chance into a burning enemy tank. And that is why the Panther, despite all its strength, could still be defeated. On a quiet road in France, in a battle lasting only minutes, two of the war's most iconic armored vehicles met face to face. One struck first, the other struck last. And in armored warfare, the last shot is the one history remembers.
If you want more content like this, subscribe now and comment below.